by Kathy Ashford, Part 4, Chapter 26. It seems like a cliche when other people say it. People who would escape death by merest fractions, slightest chances. Hell, you know it's a cliche when you say it, but you have to. There are simply no other words. It could have been me. The Festival of Beltane is held on the 1st of May every year. As we had the day off from the academy, we went to the temple for an early service, thanking the earth that sustains us and expressing gratitude for the turning of the seasons that now was bringing us back into the warmth of summer. This Beltane was one of the first truly warm days of the year, and as we browsed the markets in the merchants' quarter after temple, I was glad to be wearing my light linen robe. Talgith, Lalitha and I strolled around with our mentors, grabbing some delicious newly baked pies for our lunch. After dropping off our purchases at the hall, we went down to the Shivering Thistle for cool drinks and some moss. We sat outside in the rooftop garden, enjoying the warmth underneath the shade cloths. Thealik and Mer Sebastian spent every festival day on a formal tour of the city. The streets through the quarter were one of their last destinations, and after a jug of Tua's sangria, we could see over the side of the Thistle the crowd beginning to line the street below, in preparation for the royal parade. "Go on, shall we go see your girlfriend ride past?" Talgith winked at me. "She is not my girlfriend," I muttered. I had half a mind to simply watch the parade from the roof of the tavern. As promised, I'd seen Thealik every Saturday at the Thistle for our lessons. Afterwards, depending on her schedule for the evening, she would let me walk her back to the castle, once or twice ordering meals to be brought up for us from the kitchen. Now, I was almost reluctant to watch her ride past with all the other people, who were just happy to catch a glimpse of her exquisite face. I didn't want her to see me as just another idiot in the crowd. I was her friend, even if she'd made it abundantly clear she couldn't, form any sort of romantic attachment while still in office. It was almost enough for me just to be able to hang out with her. Almost. Talgith got his way, of course, so we finished our drinks and went downstairs to stand on the street outside the tavern. This route must have been particularly chosen for the relative width of the road. Soon enough, we heard cheering from around the corner, and we all craned our necks as the royal procession came into view. Guards on foot walked ahead of the Queen and her advisor, who was seated, as a courtesy to his aged legs, in an open-top carriage drawn by 2 horses. I could see Thealik's hair shining in the light that filtered through the shades over the street. Talgith elbowed me in the side. "Oh, look, Jazz, here she comes!" We Bloodkin were at the front of the crowd by the street, our mentor standing behind us, looking over our shoulders with their advantage of height. The parade grew slowly closer to us, as the Queen and Mer Sebastian smiled and waved to the crowd. When they drew level with us, a human woman moved forward from beside me to hand Thealik a bunch of hawthorn branches in bloom, a traditional Beltane gift. The Queen paused at the progress of the carriage to accept the bows, and she smiled and thanked the woman. As she drew back, Thealik glanced over and caught my eye, gave me a happy grin and a tiny wink. Then I heard a sharp whistling past my ear and a loud thunk behind me, and Thealik's smile froze in a mask of horror. I turned to see what had caught her attention and saw Thomas sway for a second before collapsing onto the pavement, an arrow sprouting from his throat. "Shit, Tomo, what the hell?" Talgith cried as Thomas grabbed futilely at his robes as he fell. "Thomas? What's wrong?" "Shit, Tomo!" Talgith knelt beside him and noticed the arrow. "Somebody help him!" he shrieked as Thomas gasped and gurgled, blood pooling from the wound at his throat. "Thomas, don't effing hell, Tomo! Somebody help him! My mentor's been hurt!" Talgith yelled, his voice cracking. One woman and then another started to scream as they saw Thomas convulsing on the ground, his hands scrabbling at the arrow, his mouth shaping words but not making any sounds as blood started to trickle from his lips. "Thomas!" Talgith was screaming now. "Charlie, for Lubitch's sake, help him!" I spun around to look for Thealik, just in time to see some invisible force wrench open the door to the carriage, and the Queen being pulled bodily out and onto the street, where she promptly disappeared. In the very next moment there was a bright flash, followed by a deafening roar, as the other side of the carriage exploded. I was thrown back onto Charlie with a shockwave that followed a split second later. Someone grabbed my arm and pulled me roughly to my feet. I looked down to see who had pulled me up, and could see absolutely nothing. My whole arm had disappeared. Through the screaming crowd I was forcefully dragged, momentarily blinded by the stinging black smoke that was pouring from the remains of the carriage. Terrified wails filled the air. With the noise and my streaming eyes I was totally disorientated, my feet moving of their own accord as I stumbled along, pulled by some invisible hand. Suddenly, there in front of me was the door to the Shivering Thistle. I saw it open, as if of its own accord, and was roughly shoved inside. Before the door slammed behind me, I got to take one glance back at the street. The crowds were fleeing, trampling mindlessly in their terror, their screams punctuated by the hideous shrieks of horses in terrible pain. I caught a glimpse of the Queen's carriage, now burning furiously, where Thayalik had sat only seconds before. There was a still little lump on the other side that I realized with a sick horror was Mer Sebastian. As the door was shut, suddenly Anna and Thayalik materialized in front of me. Anna still had a firm grasp on her wrist, and she propelled us through the bar. "O'Malley, lock the doors! There's something going on outside," she yelled at the tavern master as we ran past and up the stairs to the private lounge. O'Malley, with more vigour than I would have guessed he had in him, leaped over the bar, darted to the door and barred it firmly. Up in the lounge, Anna let us go to reach for one of the tapestries that hung on the back wall beside the fire. "Anna, what the hell was that? Did you see Thomas? He—" "Shut up, Jesseth," she ordered tersely, pulling the tapestry aside to reveal a small hidden door. Thayalik and I stood side by side, watching her, as the sounds of panic outside swelled and there was the loud bang of another explosion. Anna opened the door and turned to me. "Jesseth, you are to take the Queen and leave the city. This will lead you to a tunnel under the streets. Take the first right and then keep going until you get to the very end. It exists just outside the quarter." Anna spoke quickly, urgency clear in her voice. "You will take her from there to the tunnel through the hills. Has Kayosh told you about the house where Lux was born?" Not trusting myself to speak, I nodded dumbly. "Good. From the exit of the tunnel, turn left and take the path into the forest. The house is about a mile in. After Lux's grandmother died, I acquired the property and kept it as a safe house. It will appear abandoned, but unlock the back door with Yavin and go inside. Lock it behind you and don't open it for anyone except Kayosh or me. There are supplies in there, and the building is light shielded, so you may use candles, but do not light the fire. You must keep yourself and the Queen invisible at all times, and you must go now." She pulled a tiny globe from her pocket and gave it to me. "You must keep her safe, Jesseth. If neither Kayosh or I come for you in the next 3 days, take her back to Jail's Head, keeping out of sight and under cover. Now go!" She gestured hurriedly at the door. I started forward, but was halted in my tracks by Thayalik. "No. I am the Queen, and I must stay here to take care of my people. There are guards out there to look after me. I will not run away." Anna took 2 steps towards Thayalik and towered over her. "There is something going on that you must be kept safe from. Someone is using psychosolitary out there. You can't feel it, but if your guards aren't Neathi blood, they may be a danger to you." "What? Someone's using Hyarvan outside?" Anna jerked her head at me in an impatient nod. "Keep your mind shielded, Jesseth. I don't know what it is, but Kayosh and I will find them and stop them. You just have to get the Queen away." "I'm not going anywhere, Anna." Oops. "I'm not going anywhere, Anna," Thayalik told her firmly, crossing her arms. "Unfortunately, Your Majesty, for your own safety, I require that you do go, and you go now." This sparked a righteous fury in the Queen. "It is my duty to be here. I must stay and—" "Lopich, forgive me," Anna muttered, taking a deep breath. Then she pushed Thayalik back against the wall beside the door, pinning her with one arm across the chest. She looked deeply into the Queen's eyes. "You must leave the city now. Your safety is paramount. Jesseth will keep you safe, but you must leave. Do you understand?" Anna stepped back and released the Queen, who wobbled slightly and blinked twice before giggling. "Gosh, so that's what that feels like. Huh. Thanks, Anna." Thayalik looked at me and smiled, holding out one hand for me to take. What the hell had Anna just done to her? Come on, Jesseth, time's a-wasting, she called merrily. As I took her hand, she giggled again and leaned in towards me, whispering loudly. My safety is paramount, you know, she told me conspiratorially. I looked up at Anna, who shrugged. I'm sorry, Jesseth, I had to. Go now and keep her safe. Lil Betchwilling will come for you soon. Thalik squeaked with excitement as I shook the globe to get it started. Look after Charlie, okay? I told Anna, and she just smiled grimly. We'll sort this out, don't worry about us. Just get the Queen away. Another explosion rocked the tavern, and Thalik tugged me through the door. Thanks, Anna. Happy hunting, she called back gaily as Anna swung the door shut behind us. I heard the click of the lock as we were thrust into darkness. End of chapter 26.